They see me rolling
down the river.
hating.
Yeah, same song. Same song. Same question, same song.
It's on the river.
Rolling on the river. Yeah, you're
Rolling
right.
on the river.
Yeah, there it is.
It's actually Roland on the river.
Welcome
Hello
to-
and welcome to Way Too Broad.
Hannah wants to start.
A place for friends to talk about things that they're really, really ridiculously excited about. Like how nothing is real, and Jim Carrey told me so.
Oh, he's
I
also
don't
an
know
anti-vaxxer. That's the other thing.
Yeah, well, because he's
Oh,
married
man.
to that lady.
What
What
lady?
lady?
Jenny McCarthy.
No shit, really? Mm-hmm. I had no idea
Correct.
they were married.
Yeah.
They should have changed their name to McCary.
That's so true, Erin.
To McCarthy. I'm just saying. Missed opportunity there.
You're so right.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, happy 20th episode, everybody.
Happy 20th!
Welcome to episode 20 of Way Too Broad, when we finally get our shit together.
20 is 10 twice.
Yeah, we did 10 episodes twice. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it.
I mean, neither. The podcast nobody expected to get to.
The podcast everyone hated.
The podcast no one thought could or should
That's it.
have 20 episodes. You could cut this out, and probably should. My mom updated me the other day. She tried to listen to the podcast way back, long time ago, back when we were only in the single digits. And she was
those
like,
innocent times.
she was like, it's not your podcast. It's just like she can't stand the sound of people laughing on a podcast. Like, that's not a quality she likes. It's a quality that really annoys her, and that's like probably our defining attribute, and probably like the only thing that keeps some people coming back. Mm-hmm. And so she checked back in with me recently. She's like, it was basically like, update, your podcast is still too annoying to listen to. I was like, thank you.
Jesus Christ. Fucking roasting us.
I think I said something mean. I was like, we don't make it for you, or something. I was not in a good mood at the time.
Thanks
Was that just
a
out
lot.
of nowhere she said that?
Oh, I think it was just at dinner. She was just like checking in.
Oh my god. Okay, speaking of things our mom said that we should cut out. Do you remember, Ben, were you with me when it was a couple weeks ago. It wasn't this last episode, it was one before. And Mom was like, so, did you think your podcast was good this
Yes,
week?
I was there.
Which one?
I think
The
it was
one
the one where we
before
talked about
the one
Dominion
before
a lot.
Christmas.
Yeah. A penny till Christmas.
Did she, I thought that one was good. Did she not?
She said that there were parts of it where she got bored, but then we got her back later. And I think it was probably when we were talking about Pokemon, to be honest.
Oh, well, look, it's not going to be 100% for everybody all the time, okay?
No, that's impossible.
That's kind of the
Unless
point.
you're us.
What I would ask these people is, where is your art?
Yeah, what's your podcast like?
For me,
Shit.
Where's your craft? But I think what I said to my mom is true, and it's true for everybody. I don't make it for them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I make it for us.
Well,
That
that was
is
the
true.
advice we gave to Rachel. Remember, like, she asked about, when she was asking about So Dreamy and before you guys actually started making it, and she was like, will people actually listen? And Erin and I, like, I feel like all three of us almost at the same time were like, who cares? Make it for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to say that I make it is really overselling it. Hannah makes it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But I mean, the other thing is, like, to me, that is the beauty of podcasts. It's like I don't actually think they're are many podcasts. I think pretty much all of the podcasts that are like universally appealing, practically everybody already knows about. There's not going to be that many more of them. Like
Interesting.
People, or I mean, maybe there will be, but like in general, the whole point of podcasting is like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff out there that you wouldn't ever be able to build enough of an audience to like get a TV show about it or a radio show or something. But there are still lots of people out there who are really excited to hear about it. And with those people, you know, serendipity and word of mouth and good fun times. But like, I really love the fact that we talk every week now. And that's like plenty for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Same. Same. It gives me a chance to sit in a room by myself and drink in front of a computer on the floor. Like, if you were to, like, kind of take this out of context, like, peek in a window, I would just be, like, sitting and drinking a beer, like, talking to my computer.
Yep. Me too, baby.
Yeah. I have a thing. Oh, cheers. Sorry.
Ding.
Ching. Before we move into the what should drinkin' segment, I have an amazing story for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Do tell.
Temper your excitement. Today, when we were together, did you notice me wearing a pair of maroon pants that you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, I wear them all the time. They're my most worn pair of pants. Love them. I wore them in a wedding. I wear them all the time. Today, I discovered a pocket that I never knew existed in these pants.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible? I feel like there's this entire pocket that I never knew about. It's a pair of pants. Like, what are the odds? They're not cargo shorts. It's not like they're just a pair of, like, khakis, except they're maroon. I feel
Is it the little coin pocket?
Yeah, where is the pocket?
Yeah, it's a coin pocket, but it's not in a coin pocket area. So the pockets are not like, they're not jean pockets where they're kind of like a horizontal line. They're like a slanted line pocket, so they're kind of like on the side of the thigh. You know, like phone ejection pockets. When you sit down, your phone falls out, sort of pockets.
Oh, yeah,
I call them saddlebag pockets, but that's a me thing. That's not a you thing.
I can't possibly imagine how you coined that. Like,
do you have a lot of experience with saddlebags?
I just like, they stick out right at the spot where you just look like you're like shaped like a diamond right there.
Yeah,
not you actually, me specifically.
And if your pants are too tight, they tend to make like a kind of a they kind of pooch out.
I don't like them.
Yeah, they're not the best pocket design, but I wear men's pants, so the pockets are deep enough that they don't bother me as much as they would. They're useless in a women's pant because you got nothing there. It's like basically like defying gravity, you know. So imagine the top, where the top of that pocket is kind of like where my belt is. So maybe the bottom of my belt is touching the seam. Right next to it, right under where my belt falls, is this little slit, which is one of those horizontal pockets. And so you can stick like a few fingers down. But it's an entire, like, you can pull out the pocket. I should have been able to see it. I should have been seeing it from when I, like, put my pants on. But I never have. And I've had these pants for years. And I feel like I woke up today and am in an alternate reality than I have been, and the only evidence is that there's a pocket in my pants.
This is some Mandela effect, like, Sliders shit.
Yeah. And I thought, what a great, like, science fiction prompt. Like, maybe I'll write a short story. Yeah. Like, what if, you know, in the story there's, like, a note in the pocket, or maybe there isn't, but the next day there is.
Ooh. I like that. You should do it.
Anyway, yeah.
I don't feel different. But I guess I wouldn't if I live in this universe.
Right, my whole life is exactly the same. There's absolutely no evidence that I'm in an alternate universe, except that there's a pocket that I've, like, never had in my pants before.
And is that the only evidence, or also just the only difference between the two universes?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's deep.
Because I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a very interesting story if that's the only difference.
But what if I, like, put a coin in there, and then I'm in a scenario where, like, that coin saves my life, and in the other reality I die. That's still not interesting.
Then you're just dead.
Sliding doors, man.
Yeah, for real.
That's a
That
good
was a
movie.
movie that they made. Oh,
It's good. I like it. I actually I can't be held responsible for that opinion. It's been years since I've seen that movie.
I felt the same way. I watched it and I liked it at the time, but I have no idea if I would like it now. Anyway, that's my amazing story.
Amazing.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Amazing facts. Erin has a new pocket.
I have a new pocket.
What's everybody drinking?
Water.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm drinking a, your gin phase really didn't last very long, Ben.
Yeah.
I ran out of tonic.
Oh. And ginger ale.
Yeah. You didn't have tonic last week.
I bought tonic and had a couple gin and tonics.
I have a beer that I'm almost through. And then I made a gin and grapefruit juice
Ooh, lovely.
Ooh,
for after. So tasty. What a good pairing.
Yeah.
beautiful.
I love gin.
Yeah. You know, I don't, but with grapefruit juice, it's such a good mix. What are you
guys-
drinking, Anna?
Okay, I have water, like Ben.
I have seltzer water too. I didn't mention it.
I have seltzer water, but not in here, so it doesn't count. This segment isn't called "What beverages do you have in your house?" Hannah. So,
You scolded yourself.
and then I have this Von Trapp Brewing Trosten Lager.
Oh, what's a Trosten lager?
It's
That
German.
sounds like a word you just made up.
It's German for comfort. It's, it is.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
it
not a
says
very
right here.
comfortable word.
Trosten.
I hope you are trusted.
I mean, German is not like a
Triple.
really comfortable language. It's just like a very
True.
aggressive.
True.
It's a dark smoked lager. Oh, this is interesting. Full of Gemältigkeit.
What does that mean?
What is that? You're just gonna leave it at that?
It doesn't say what it means. I wish I could help you, but
What's the ABV on that?
Please
That's
help
gonna
me.
be high.
you think?
Yeah, I think.
6.
Oh, I mean that's high for a beer ish.
Slightly above
guess.
average.
Yeah,
I guess.
the taste or the ABV.
Both. It's a good beer. We actually visited the Von Trapp house thing when we went to Stowe this summer, and neither of us can remember why. I know that we planned this trip at the last minute. I know that we got an Airbnb. I know that we didn't really have anything particular to do, and we just kind of like explored around the area. And I know that we determined that Vermont is the absolute whitest white place in the entire world, at least country. But I can't remember like if we just were like we need a vacation or if it was like an anniversary, and neither of us can remember.
Wow. So that brewery is in
Vermont.
Mm-hmm. So there's a German brewery with German on the label, but it's coming from Vermont.
Yeah, it's actually the brewery located at the house that the Von Trapp family built when they escaped from like the Sound of Music family.
Wow, yeah.
When they escaped to the U.S. and settled in Vermont, which is
Cool.
It's a huge, beautiful place. Well, that's my long story about my beer.
That sounds great.
Sounds deliciousness.
Thank you.
That's German for delicious.
I could tell because it was making me feel uncomfortable.
Delicious.
You know what's cool about German? Or it's cool to me. It's actually... This is like a really nerdy and possibly boring fact about it.
Cool.
But so you know how like romance languages the nouns have genders, like they're feminine and masculine words? Mm-hmm. German has a third gender called neuter, which is also in Latin, and it also shares another characteristic with Latin, which is that the words decline the nouns decline, which means that the like endings change depending on what part of speech they're filling in the sentence.
Oh.
And what's really interesting to me about this is that no Romance language has either of those characteristics despite coming from Latin. And German, which does not come from Latin, shares both those characteristics with Latin.
Wait,
wow,
can you
interesting.
explain to me again what decline means? Because I don't think I understood.
It means that, well, I don't know for German as well, but like in Latin, the general principle of declension is that the ending of words change to indicate what part of speech they are, basically. So like in English, we do that with word order, essentially. Like the first word is generally the subject, and then the verbs don't decline. Then like the noun, the direct object comes after the verb. Like, I ate the cake. But in Latin, it would be, the words can be in any order, but what the ending of the word would tell you what part of speech it was.
Oh.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
I call it weird.
And I think German has like enforced word order also, but I know that the nouns also decline.
Crazy.
That cray.
I have a family inside joke for you guys.
What is it?
That was a neat noise. It's their new, like, interstitial, or they're just, like, Hannah noises.
What's that?
Okay. So, my parents got a new sofa today. And
That's sofa king cool.
Nice.
And it got me thinking about, well, yeah, this is a bad intro to this segment.
It got me thinking about it. Then you like went off and thought about it again inside.
So they sent us a picture, and there was a table next to the sofa. It was like a little long table.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Those things are called sofa tables. Do you know what
Clever.
a sofa table looks like, Erin? It's just like a long, thin...
Does it go behind the table or the sofa?
It goes like right next to an armrest.
Yeah, this one does, but it can go anywhere. But yeah, I think that might kind of be the purpose of it. And it's about the same height as the sofa. Like,
cool.
And it's a lot of times it's got like storage underneath it too. Well, every time that anybody mentions sofa tables around my dad and me, and I don't know if you guys do this too, Ben. We always say, "Oh, sofa tables, they solve problems." and we've done it for years, actually so long that I only remember in the broadest strokes. He might remember the actual name of the show, but I know we were watching a show on like HGTV or something, and there was some episode or segment about sofa tables, and the woman who was hosting that must have said sofa tables solve problems like a dozen times, because after that it was absolutely imprinted into both of our brains, and we never can't mention that sofa tables solve problems. but I just think that's like kind of indicative of what I really enjoy about family inside jokes in general. I don't know whether it's specific to our family or not, this particular aspect, but like sometimes the joke even lives beyond your recollection of the origin of the joke.
Yeah.
And we commit to it pretty hard. So
We have something like that from a show, maybe I don't remember what the show was called. But it was like some character just said something in a funny way, and now we say it all the time. It's like, you could save a life. But we like say that like all the time. Like me and my dad and my siblings and stuff like that. Like any old time.
Yeah. But yeah, if you really look around, if you really pay attention, you'd be amazed how many problems you can see sofa table solving.
You can solve world peace even. Yeah. Well, it's like you're trying to like, two world leaders are trying to have a heated conversation with their hands, but they're holding a beverage and they can't get their point across, and then they're frustrated and they happen to look and there's a sofa table and they're like, oh, let's put my drink right here.
Yeah.
And then they like shake hands and
hug.
World peace.
Exactly.
Bam.
The only reason that there's not world peace is because nobody's ever asked a sofa table about it.
They solve problems.
That's my opinion. So, That's my family inside joke for you guys.
That's a good one.
The end. Guess what?
What?
Chicken butt.
Oh.
I am up first this week.
Whoa, Hannah!
Wait, we didn't ask for updates on homework from last week.
Oh, okay. What did we talk about?
Did you think last week's episode was good?
I personally
I talked about Lord of the Rings, you talked about Dames and Dragons, and Erin talked about something that wasn't related to fantasy, and it slipped out of my mind for some reason.
Godless.
Godless.
That's right. I haven't watched that yet.
Me
Oh,
neither,
man,
but I plan on it.
Finished it
Excellent.
yesterday. It was so good.
So good. Still worth
It's my
it.
own homework. Just, yeah, loved it.
Excellent.
The thing about it is, it's like I said last week, it's a Western that has entirely women in it, but when you watch it, you like super know that it was still written by a man. Like, there's some things about it, you're like, what? But
Yeah.
anyway.
Was
The main reason I brought up... Oh, sorry.
Was the person you were hearing interviewed a man or a woman?
Yeah, no. The creator, director, writer was a man.
Ah. That's too bad.
But I'd have known from watching it.
The main reason I brought up updates is because I want to talk about something Kylie and I made tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Because a few weeks ago, or a lot of episodes ago, I think Erin's obsession was making bread, and we had bread updates for a few weeks. And Kylie and I made bread for the first time tonight.
Congratulations.
And it was so good.
And Ben, I'm so
you
sorry
know-
I forgot because it looks just so delicious.
Oh, yeah, I see the pictures now. That looks like one from Great British Bake Off.
Thank you. That's one of the best compliments I've ever received in my life.
Beautiful. What kind of bread is it? Tell me all about it.
It's a pesto... I don't know what... I guess you'd call it a crouton, right? That's what that kind of thing is? Or
Yeah.
like, you slice it, braid it, and then like curl it around into like a round circle shape. And
Did you use a recipe from Chetna's book?
So we started with a recipe from Chetna's book. We were going to make a mint and coriander bread. But then we couldn't find fresh coriander leaves or fresh mint leaves at the grocery stores we usually go to. Especially not coriander. It's kind of hard to find. At least not... Maybe we're just bad at finding it. But so we were like, you know what? Before we get into Chetna's recipes, we're going to do like an easier one that we found like for a pesto bread online. It's just like a simple white bread that was so fun to knead and stuff. Kneading is really fun. And then it feels so gratifying when you like leave it for an hour and then it's doubled in size and you just have this giant thing of dough now. And then you just like flatten it out, put pesto on it, roll it up, then you like cut the roll in half and then braid it like that so that the like layers are kind of showing, as you can see in the picture, but the listeners can't. But like,
we can tweet the picture out when this episode comes out.
Yeah, it was really easy and really delicious. It came out so much better than I thought it would for our first attempt.
It looks beautiful.
So pretty.
Thank you.
And delicious. Did you eat it with your meal, or did you kind of like have it as your main?
We made it after dinner. We just wanted to make it.
Awesome.
Ben, I would like to offer up Ian's services if you're ever trying to figure out where to find spices again, because not only might we already have them if they're really rare, but he knows some places even inside the city, I think, where you can go for spices.
I will have to take him up on that, because Chetna's book is full of lots of spices, and like not just like ground stuff. Like sometimes you need the fresh, like coriander leaves are not a common thing.
Yeah.
If you can't find like rare spices in Boston, I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah, that's actually, Ian was kind of laughing about you guys looking through that. Like, so they got that book for Christmas, just to explain, and they were like looking through it, and it's kind of organized by spices, basically, or like different ingredients, right?
Well, it's organized by like into like sweet things and breads and all that stuff, but then like there are a few. Sometimes you come on a page that's just like all about one spice, and then like the next few pages are recipes using that.
And he was like overhearing you guys being like, "Oh, I hope we can find this in Boston," and he was like chuckling to himself about it, I guess.
Well, it's just because we there are like 2 grocery stores that we go to that are convenient for us, and that's like we were just worried about getting them there.
Yeah.
Because like we can get them, we know we can go elsewhere, but it's less convenient to get to.
I just want to reflect on this moment and how much we've changed Ben's life with this podcast. Because like not only is did he bake bread, him and Kylie baked bread, but like he was referencing a cookbook from somebody from the Great British Bake Off, which he had never seen.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's true, and I'm
double
so grateful.
Life-changing whammy.
Young man, look at your life. You're a lot like us now.
Yeah.
That's kind of a reversal on that song. But that's fine.
I have a little bit of a homework update. I haven't read them yet, but Molly had recently brought home a bunch of old books and stuff from her childhood home, including both the entire like perfect condition hardcover Harry Potter series and the whole Lord of the Rings series. So
nice.
They are now sitting in my bookcase waiting for me.
Wow,
it's exciting.
Yeah,
so fancy.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for my session?
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
My session of ob this week.
Yeah. What's your obsesh?
My obsession this week, which I have to admit is more of a many years long thing that I just love and will always love forever. I haven't been specifically watching it this week, is a show called Home Movies.
Oh, yes.
Ben, I think, has probably seen it because I used to always have episodes saved on our TV when we all lived in the same house together. So, Home Movies is an animated series. It was created by a guy named Brendan Small, who he went on to... I think a lot of people know him from Metalocalypse, which you probably also haven't heard of, Erin, and is another animated series that I don't have any reason why I should like it, because it's about like a heavy metal band, but I love it. I think it's super funny. And he's a frequent guest on Comedy Bang Bang, or fairly frequent. And he's just like generally like a cool dude. But this was one of his first shows that he produced, and it's mildly to moderately autobiographical of his childhood. So the main characters of the show are 3 8-year-old kids named Brendan, Melissa, and Jason.
That's such a hard name to remember.
All the J names. I was like, Jordan? Whatever. Justin? No, that's not right. And he has... there's sort of like a few sort of areas he frequents. So the reason it's called Home Movies is because he and his friends they spend a lot of time making like movies with Brendan's video camera in his basement, and they like script them, and they'll show clips from them on the episodes, or they'll show like them in the process of making them, and they're like, they're mostly just like to help be a plot device, but they're very funny in their own way because they're like movies that were scripted by 8-year-olds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like the props and all the costumes are like, they're very creative, but they're like stuff that they found in his house or whatever. And there's some really excellent voice actors in it. So his mom is at first, or maybe later on at some point, one of the seasons is Paula Poundstone. She's not she's not the mom in every season, but I really like the other woman who plays his mom too. So I don't really care either way, but Paula Poundstone is really great also.
I fucking love her.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And then also, this was the first place where I ever came across H. John Benjamin as a voice actor, and he is the guy who plays Archer, and he is the guy who plays Bob in Bob's Burgers. And he also had his own live action show on Comedy Central called John Benjamin Has a Van. And also he spends a lot of time, not to be creepy, but I know this because of Eugene Merman's social media. He spends a lot of time in Falmouth in the summers at Eugene Merman's vacation home. Like they're always at like, they're this like really dive bar near downtown. They always check in from there. But he's one of my favorite voice actors. He has a really distinctive voice. Do you know who any of those characters are, Erin?
Mm-mm. Well, I've heard of.
Really?
I know of them. I just haven't
I wonder if
seen those shows.
I wonder if you would, but you'd probably recognize his voice, right? Like you've seen commercials and stuff.
I think so.
Yeah, and I've watched a couple episodes of Bob Burgers.
Bob Burgers.
That's like a whole different show. It's like a dark version of the show. Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes. I might recognize his voice.
Kylie and I have been rewatching Bob's Burgers lately as like the show we watch during dinner.
I love Bob's Burgers.
And it's so good.
Yeah,
so
Bob's Burgers
funny.
is awesome. John Benjamin is a lot of what I just think he plays. Doesn't he play more than one character on Bob's Burgers?
Yeah.
Does he play?
He plays like a lot of the other like.
That's the thing
smaller
is that
characters.
like his voice is very distinctive as like his main voice, which is like basically his regular voice, but he's also a really good voice actor. Like basically anything that you ever hear his voice in, you can also like after a while you can start to pick out that he is also like a bunch of other people in the show.
Oh yeah,
As is Brendan Small.
Yep, yeah. Brendan Small is
amazing.
A ton of people in a ton of places.
And you like can't tell a lot of the time that it's the same person.
Yeah.
He's really, really good.
He goes on Adult Swim these days, and he plays 2 or 3 characters at a time, like characters that come in together and interact with each other.
Did you mean Comedy Bang Bang?
Does that? What did I say?
You said Adult Swim.
Jesus Christ. He comes on.
get your shit together, Hannah.
I know. He comes on to Comedy Bang Bang. I don't even have a fever this week. Yeah, and he plays like a singer and his singer's manager, and then sometimes also a third guy, all at the same time.
Like having conversations with each other.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he is also, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of the characters in Metalocalypse. And in addition to being a bunch of the characters, he is like all of the guitar and bass stuff that's in there because he's an excellent musician.
Wow.
As well.
I thought you were saying that he was doing like those with his voice.
Oh, no. No. That would be, impressive in its own way. But
Yeah.
but no, he's a very talented musician. Like he's actually put out albums as metal. What's the name of the band? It's not Death Clock.
Death Clock
is the name of the band in Metalocalypse, and he's put out albums like as them. I think he does the singing too, and they've like done really well. I mean, obviously with fans of the show, but like he's been able to produce entire albums of like actual music, from his 5 fake characters that he probably plays 3 or more of them.
Is that like when in Homestar Runner, like Strong Bad put out an album? Do you remember that?
Strong Bad sings and other type hits. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that one.
You've got an ugly butt
and
it's stupid.
But
There's like this long I don't know if you've seen this on YouTube. Speaking of that, there's like the entire Daft Punk album, the newer one that they put out. I guess it's not new anymore, but the like Random Access Memory. But it's like I think it's Come On Fahugu Gods like recorded over the entire like instrumental of that whole entire Daft Punk album from beginning to end. I think it's that, but anyway.
Fahugu Gods has really made it into the popular consciousness. I feel like I see like references to Fahugu, because you can stick it in any place where there's a random series of letters. You can stick in Fahugu Gods and people won't notice. But yeah, it's super. To get back to home movies, because we've gone pretty 5 or so blocks away from that. It's not your fault. It's really like it can be kind of dark. Like the coach that I was talking about that John Benjamin plays, he's like an alcoholic. Like all he's managed to do with his like probably 30-something years on the planet is become a soccer coach, and he's absolutely not qualified for that. And he's always like giving the kids like really terrible advice. Like at one point he takes Brendan to go identify the body of his dead uncle with him. And like, and the whole time he's like coercing Brendan into spending how they give kids those buckets and you're supposed to collect money for like charity or whatever, like for like runs and stuff. He's got like a bucket of that charity money, and the coach keeps coercing him into spending it on things and telling him he's about to get an inheritance, so he'll pay him back for it. And then his inheritance is just a single sausage, a really old sausage. So it's like, and it's also largely improvised. Like they write the general outlines of the show, but the actual dialogue for the most part is improvised, and it's a lot of really talented improvisers as well. So it's just like, it's fun. There's a lot of like fun little things. And through lines in the episodes, and you get to love the characters a lot. It was the show that I used to watch like every night when I was going to bed. I would put on an episode of it, and it would like soothe me to sleep because I had watched all of them so many times that I didn't find it distracting anymore. You know what's something I say from that show all the time? What? Weow. Weow. I just watched that episode.
Weow. Weow. Weow.
What's the reference there?
I just watched that episode. That's actually the one that I'd like to recommend that people try to get a taste for the show, because since there's this film element to it, sometimes they do episodes that are like loosely based off of classic movies. And so this one was like a nod to Rear Window. Brendan hurt his knee, and around the same time he had a new neighbor move in, behind their house, so he could see that guy's windows from his backyard, and he got some binoculars, and so he became convinced that this guy had murdered his wife based on some things that he saw, and obviously like hilarity ensues. But one of the like things that that happens like throughout, that starts at the beginning of the episode and continues on, is that like, so Jason and Melissa go to visit Brendan locked up in his room, and it's kind of like, it smells like an 8-year-old has been like cooped up in a room all day in there. And so she's like, let me open a window, just let it like circulate in here a little bit. And Jason is like, yeah, weow. And he's just like, and they start giving him shit about it. So he like tries to play it off like he did it on purpose. And then for the rest of the episode is like trying to make weow happen. And like by the end of it, when shit starts going wrong, Brendan has like picked up on it, even though Melissa's still resisting. And like Melissa is like trapped in this guy's house, or over in this guy's house, like snooping around, and they're trying to give her a signal out the window to come back, and they're just like standing in the window screaming, "Weow! Weow! Weow!" It's very good. I don't know. Actually, another thing I didn't even notice, but we had the subtitles on today, is that like, so right after all of that happens, then Brendan's mom invites him over for dinner. So they're now like totally convinced that he's a murderer, and then he just turns up in their house immediately. And as soon as she opens the door with like the big reveal that this guy is there, Melissa starts just screaming like, ah, but both Brendan and Jason both go, weow! It's pretty good. It's a pretty good term.
I love it.
Weow.
I say it all the time.
Weow. Yeah.
Used in excitement and alarm and a distress.
Yeah, it's very multi-purpose.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's nonsense actually helps with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weow.
that's true.
Weow.
Uh-oh. What happened?
What? I can hear you, but our thing is frozen.
Froze.
What happened?
That was weird.
She just said, oh, your camera's gone.
Oh, I see Hannah's frozen face, and I can hear her real time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No.
If you can hear me, say weow.
I can hear you. But
that's
what
not
were you supposed to fucking say if you could hear me?
Weow.
Was it, I can hear you?
Weow.
Thank you.
No restart. No.
What's happening?
The computer just said it needs to restart, and I don't know.
No.
No or not.
I can hear you.
I guess we'll find out.
We out.
I can't see you. Your face is fucking frozen. But I can hear you okay.
Camera. Camera. Yes.
Okay, I see you again. Hey, buddy.
Hi. Okay, hopefully my computer doesn't restart all of a sudden.
Wee-ow, I was nervous.
I'm so disappointed in myself. I didn't say wee out one time when I thought things were going wrong. Oh well.
Especially when I explicitly asked you to.
Yeah.
So that's mine. So it's
cool.
Now it's Erin's turn.
Hannah, how do we watch home videos?
Home movies.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, okay. Home movies is on Hulu, and it's also on Adult Swim. Any place where you can stream Adult Swim shows. Like, they have an app, and they also have a website.
Do you mean Comedy Bang Bang?
No, that time I meant...
You burnt.
You got me.
Don't fuck up around here.
That's our new brand. I forgot.
Zero tolerance for fuck-ups or not knowing a thing that we know.
Yup.
Come prepared to know what I'm about to tell you.
And the episode that I was just talking about, the Rear Window one, is called Definite Possible Murder. I think it's in season 4.
Is this something we can watch on... So this is a long time ago.
It's from,
It's pretty old.
Early 2000s, I think.
It sounds like something... That was so long ago. That sounds like something that would be on YouTube, maybe, too?
Maybe.
Cartoon Network's pretty stingy with things like that. Getting stuff like that off YouTube.
But if you have any kind of cable connection, cable connect of any kind, you can watch things for free on Adult Swim.
Oh, I don't have any cable connection of any kind.
Well, then.
But I have a cousin who can hook me up with a Hulu.
What's your obsession, Erin?
Oh, what up? Okay. Well, I'm gonna in lieu of anything else exciting, I'm going to talk about my other option from last week,
Your book.
which is another book, which is another book that I got for Christmas that I have been really into. My big brother Maddie and his wife Kate got it for me. I think Kate did most of the research in finding it for me. But I really wanted a baking... What?
I just laughed.
Oh. What? What did you do?
Why?
What
Why'd
did
you
you
laugh?
say to me? Based on our conversation, she said that she had a really good time picking it out.
Okay.
And finding it and picking it. As an aside... Whenever we open Christmas presents with my immediate family, my dad, the whole time, every time you go to open a present, he's like, I helped pick that out. Or he'll say, I was there when your mom picked that out. Are you just now lighting your fucking podcast candle?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
We're 50 minutes in.
Jesus Christ, Hannah.
I just looked over and it wasn't on it. The lid was still on it.
Oh my god.
It's fine.
Anyway, I'll keep this brief. It's a really great book. So something that I had been wanting that I don't even think I communicated to them was I really wanted a bread baking book, and I wanted one that had a lot of technique in it, because so far I just been like following one online recipe, and that doesn't, they don't go into a lot of detail about like why you're doing each thing.
Yeah.
Each step. And so I really wanted a a book that had a lot of technique in it. And another random thing that I wanted was a book that had measurements in weight rather than in volume. Because baking is like basically just like chemistry. Because you can make all these different breads. You can, the book is full of like different bread recipes, but they all use the same 4 ingredients, which is flour, yeast, Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast, which is what the name of the book is called.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
So it's really great. It's it's been a really interesting read. I've been reading it from like cover to cover, and it talks about just like equipment, and so it's this guy Ken Forkish, and he basically was
what a name for a chef.
I know, right? He's a baker.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Ken Bakish would have been a little better. But he's a guy who was like working in Silicon Valley and then like quit and then like read about artisan bakers in like a magazine and was like, that's what I want to do. And so he like quit his job and like went and got trained in all over the country and in Italy and France, I think, and just became an artisan baker and moved to Portland and opened a bakery. And now it's like a really popular bakery, and he has a pizza restaurant as well. But this book kind of like details like both his journey to become a baker and kind of like the routine of a professional baker and kind of like the process of kind of a bakery, which obviously operates at much more of a large scale and uses different equipment than a home baker, and kind of goes through all the technique of like what he's learned that is applicable to baking in a bakery, but then translates it to skills and techniques for the home baker. And so like basically he was like, I wanted to write this book because like I noticed there was a lot of resources for these sort of techniques if you're baking professionally, but not necessarily if you're baking just in your house. So it's really great. It's super interesting. Lots of really nice recipes, lots of really interesting kind of like interstitials about like where your flour comes from, like what flour is, like the difference between, you know, whole wheat flour and white flour, and like the anatomy of wheat berry, and just like exactly what I'm into. And it also has for each bread recipe basically bakes you 2 loaves. And it's like, you know, they only last like 3 days when you're fresh baking bread. Like they're not, you know, they're not chock full of preservatives. And so with the second roll of dough, he gives you some alternatives. Like you can turn it into pizza dough, and he has recipes for like cast iron pizza, which we made recently.
Wow.
Or you can turn the second ball of dough into focaccia, and it, you know, it tells on each recipe what a suitable alternative for your second piece of, you know, dough would be.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's called Flour, Water, Yeast, Salt. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast. Fuck. The Fundamentals of Artisan Bread and Pizza by Ken Forkish. Super good.
Absolutely want that book.
Yeah, it's great. I really recommend it.
Like even when we were making the bread today, and we were like kneading the dough, and we both like seen people knead dough before, but we were like, wait, like why are we doing this? Like what?
Right.
So we like looked up what it actually does, and it's about how like it's like stretching the gluten strands.
Right.
And so we actually like focused more on stretching it rather than just kind of like hitting the dough, and like it came out better because of it.
And that's so interesting that you say that, because actually none of these recipes you do any kneading. It's all folding. And what folding is you take a handful of the dough, you stretch it out right until it's about like has the most tension, and then like bring it in on itself, and then you do that like 4 times, you know, kind of rotating around the dough ball, and let it rest. And that is again like it's building those gluten strands, and also creating the network that when the in the baking process and in the proofing process, you know, the yeast are consuming all the sugars or whatever and creating gas, and that's what's going to trap the gases and create those like really nice bubbles in your bread.
How about
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so cool.
That is so cool.
But yeah, and I just really like that he's very practical. Like the equipment that he requires is just like a Dutch oven. He recommends some, you know, tubs for proofing your bread and measuring ingredients and a scale. But it's like, you know, if you already have this thing, why not use what you have, you know? Mm-hmm. So I like that. It's like a pragmatic approach to like home baking.
Love it.
Yeah. And I've made a bunch of bread.
Now I'm jealous of both of you, and we're going to have to make some bread.
You can make some bread. You can just make some. I think really what fun. Ben might tell you is just that, and what he said was it's kind of amazing how well even your first attempt turns out.
Yeah. And it was very gratifying to, like, just make it, and it tasted good. I don't know. I don't cook things that complicated, but, like, bread, for some reason, has always felt like something that's, like, it's just never something you make. You know what I mean? Like, it's always something you buy at a store. There are, like, some things where, like, you can, like, mac and cheese is, like, something you can buy in a box, but you can also, like, make it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's both in your head, but bread is just, like, this thing you buy as a grocery item. So it was really cool to make it ourselves.
Yeah. And after time, you're like, it's easier and cheaper to make it yourself.
Yeah, we have so many. It doesn't, like, we have this giant bag of flour and, like, a bunch more yeast, and, like, we can just make, like, 5 more loaves of this and still have a ton of ingredients left.
Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not?
I love it.
Yep.
Bread.
Podcast
about bread. Way too bread.
Bread. You look so delighted with yourself.
I was.
Your eyebrows, like, shot up to the top of your head.
Shout out to me.
Maybe if we get even more into baking, Erin and I can do a spin-off podcast called Way Too Bread about baking.
I think Ian would probably co-host with you on that if you need a third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he a baker?
He's a chef, but I think he also likes to bake. I guess he doesn't do it as much.
Tell him to bake you some damn bread.
Yeah, fuck.
Ian,
fuck.
Tell him now to bake you some bread.
Bake me some bread.
So, I baked some bread for brunch this weekend. We had some friends over for brunch, and I was like, oh, I'll just try this new bread recipe. These were, like, familiar brunch friends. Like, we hang out with them all the time. And so I was like, this will be fun to do, like, an experimental bread, you know, a new one from my book. And one of our friends brought her new boyfriend over, who we hadn't met yet, and I was, like, pulling my bread out from the oven, and I was, like, not as happy with it as I, sometimes am. And he walks over, and he was, like, said something that made me realize that he probably bakes. And I was like, oh, do you bake bread? And he was like, oh, yeah, I worked at this artisan bakery for 2 years. And, you know, I was like, oh, fuck. I'm just a humble home baker. So,
what did he think of your bread?
He complimented it, but he was probably lying.
I hate him.
You make really good bread.
He was nice, but it was just like, you don't expect for, like, a trained artisan baker to show up at your brunch party when you make your experimental loaf.
That's so true. That's one of those truisms.
It's one of life's universal truths.
It's always the artisan baker. It's always the classically trained baker that shows up to your brunch party.
Yep, that's what my mom always told me.
How hipster do I sound right now? I'm so sorry. Ugh, an artisan baker showed up to brunch. God.
Shall we move on to Baby Ben?
Let's move on to Baby Ben.
All right.
It was wonderful. Great segment, Erin. Always love talking about bread.
Great segment, but it's over now.
Shout out to me.
Shout out
to for real. Shout in.
Erin.
Shout in to Erin.
Shout in to Erin, and I accept Erin's shout out to herself because
Thank
we're all
you.
about self-love here on Way Too Bread.
Do you accept my shout out and raise your raise your own?
I don't know, because I already did it, so I don't know if I can raise it now.
That's
it's already
true.
out on the
All right.
table.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I shouldn't do anything in that segment, so it doesn't seem fair.
Okay.
Baby Ben,
Well,
what's your...
I teased my obsession last week.
Oh, shit.
I said it was a very famous science fiction series.
You did.
Do either of you have a guess? Just
Well,
out of curiosity.
okay, science fiction, not
Yeah.
fantasy.
Not fantasy.
Fuck. Is it Ender's Game?
No.
Science
Hannah, do you have a guess?
I'm trying to think. I feel
It's old.
like more of the science fiction I know is like standalone books than is series.
Is it Dune?
No, it's not Dune. Good guess, though.
How old
Thank
is
you.
it?
The first book was published in 1951.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it Philip Dick?
No, it's Isaac Asimov.
Oh, well, that rings a bell.
And the series is the Foundation series.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
those.
I didn't really either. We just had... So, the reason I know about them is that Isaac Asimov is my girlfriend's grandmother's favorite... My girlfriend. Kylie's grandmother's favorite author. Do you ever catch yourself doing that? Like, talking to people that you know...
Yeah.
Like, they know their name, but you just, like, say it anyway?
It's worse when you are talking to your siblings and you reference, like, my mom.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Kylie's grandmother's favorite author is Isaac Asimov, and her grandfather said that he like didn't read many books that much when he was alive, but he said that this was like the only series he would read and reread because he loved it so much. It's, I think, how many books is it? 7, I think, total. And it's about... Well, it's like Isaac Asimov wrote a lot, and he kind of started as a writer for like science fiction magazines. So he wrote a lot of like stories, but that kind of all went together and were forming one larger cohesive story. And this is essentially a collection. The Foundation series is kind of a collection of one particular branch of this universe he created. Interesting fact, he was actually a professor of microbiology at Boston University before he became a science fiction writer, which I don't know if I've mentioned that I go to BU on the podcast or not, but I do, which is fun. And so the first book is called Prelude to Foundation, and it was actually the last one that was written. It was written like 4 years before he died in 1988, and then the second book in the series is called Foundation. It was written in 1951, and it's a collection of 4 different stories that were written between 1942 and 44. But what's interesting is that the premise of Prelude to Foundation is that there's this mathematician. So first of all, there's this giant galactic empire that's made up of like 25 million planets and like 4 quadrillion people or something. Like, it's huge.
Match.
And there's one emperor, and there's this mathematician named Hari Seldon, who was born on like some random small planet, kind of insignificant planet called Helicon, and became a professor at one of their universities, and was invited to speak about a paper he wrote at a convention that happens every 10 years on the capital planet called Trantor. Mm-hmm. And the paper was about this new field of science that he proved was theoretically possible, that he called psychohistory, which is basically the like statistical prediction of the future. And he called it psychohistory because it's like mathematics are as important to it as understanding human psychology and understanding history, like what people have done in the past. And the emperor catches wind of this new, like, proving that it's theoretically possible to predict the future, and wants to use that power to like predict that his reign will bring a bunch of wealth and stuff, because the empire's kind of in a tumultuous situation where it's like feeling like it's on the verge of collapse at any moment. It's been around for like 20,000 years and it's like not super stable, and so he wants to basically like say that there's this mathematician who can use math to show that everything's going to be fine. And Hari Seldon refuses because he says, I've proved it's theoretically possible, but it's not practical because you'd need like millions of years and a supercomputer to actually do the necessary calculations unless you know a bunch of conditions that it's impossible to know. And then he meets this journalist named Cheddar Hummin, which is a hilarious name.
BRB, I'm gonna go change my name. You see, they call me Cheddar Hummin. Don't ask why.
Hummin. Cheddar Hummin.
And this journalist is incredibly persuasive and convinces Hari Seldon to, instead of abandoning this as something that's theoretically possible but not nearly practical, to actually work very hard on making it something practical, but not to do it for the Emperor, to do it for the sake of the Empire, because if the Empire falls, then the whole universe will go into chaos, basically. Even if the Emperor is not like the best person or leader, it's kind of like better than nothing. And so the Prelude Foundation is the story of him going around basically to different sectors of this capital planet, eluding the Emperor's grasp, basically, and learning things that he thinks will help it make psychohistory possible. And spoilers, he succeeds, because that's the basis of the next books, of like the rest of the books. And so the rest of the series is like a bunch of stories and a bunch of time skips into like how he's used psychohistory now to set up for predicting that the Empire is going to fall, but instead of making the universe fall into 30,000 years of darkness, he's going to make it fall into only 1,000 years, and then a second empire will be built. But like he has to set up everything. It's so like fascinating and hard to describe because it's such a large scope. But like he has to basically like plan for the future and future humans' actions and future crises that they will face, and put them in a place, like a physical place, such that they'll only have one way out of any given crisis, so that the plan to limit the years of darkness and violence in the universe will actually follow through as it has to, like as it's dictated by his psychohistory. It's so fascinating because like you meet Prelude just follows his story, but then the rest of the books, like I said, they like skip every section, is like every story is like another 50 years or so. And so you keep being introduced to new characters, and they all have like their own kind of small role in this giant master plan that was made by this one mathematician like years and years ago. But he's right about a lot of things, even though he doesn't know the specifics of the crises that they'll face. He kind of like knows the nature statistically of what is going to happen, and he sets them up to get through them in the way that will bring forth a new empire.
Dang.
Wow.
Super, super cool. I'm really excited to finish it.
That sounds like a little more interesting than a story about somebody who like found another pocket in their pants and therefore is in an alternate dimension, but like just barely.
It actually,
and like
just barely. It actually reminds me a little bit of a show that Ian and I have been watching called Travelers. Have you heard of it?
Is that the one with like the people who come back from the future to make sure that the world doesn't end or something? Yeah,
like not that I guess it kind of ends. There's not a lot of clarity on what the future is really like, because one of their like main protocols that they all follow is that like they're not supposed to talk about the future with each other, because obviously not with people in the 21st either, but like since that what they're trying to do is change the course of history, it can get like confusing and difficult and complicated in a lot of ways if you talk to someone who came back after you had already left, because things might be different than you left them in a lot of weird ways. So they don't really talk about it. So it's kind of interesting because you know that there's at least one crisis, if not more, that they're trying to avert. And there are hints like the fact that they are all vegan when they come back. So they're like, obviously they don't have access to, or they don't like, we destroy the environment in some real way around like all of our animal product stuff and whatever. But the thing that
spoken like a true non-vegan.
Animal product stuff or whatever.
What the fuck ever.
But the reason it sounds like it to me is that they don't generally they're not like following some grand plan. They're all these kind of teams that get put in place, and then they get projects sent to them from the future, like missions, and they just have to do them. And those things, even if they don't seem important, like could change the this like actually in this show it's more of an automated like computer program, so it can like play out all kinds of scenarios and stuff. But it's like it's been calculated one way or another that the way things are going, this is what's going to happen, and if they change this one little thing, then it'll change whether that'll happen or not.
Yeah, that's very similar to this, because one of the really important things about like how Hari Seldon set up this planet called Terminus, which is like where this building the new empire is going to start from, is that no one. It's important that no one actually knows the plan for the plan to work, because he can't account in like his calculations. He can't account for the variables that would be introduced by people actually knowing what they're supposed to do exactly, if that makes sense. So he has to kind of that's why I said like he has to set things up so they only have one choice really.
Yeah.
So that they can't make too many deviations. And one of the really interesting just like themes in in Foundation, the like first real Foundation novel, is one of the ways that Terminus starts to like build power in the kind of fallen empire is that the empire started to go into decay partly because people stopped learning actually about the science behind nuclear power. And so when nuclear power plants started to break down, they just went back to using coal and gas. And meanwhile, at Terminus, where there's this foundation that's just called the Foundation, it's like where the kind of the hub of all that's left of the scientific knowledge of the universe. And so they have the expertise to give people nuclear power again, but they teach it. They kind of encapsulate it in this religion, in this like religion of science, where the way they describe it is that all the priests can fix the nuclear power plants on these given planets, and that like the priesthood runs nuclear power plants, but they only know it empirically. So they know like if this goes wrong, I do this, but they don't know what's behind it. All that knowledge is on the Foundation, and that's like the source of their power, is that they have the knowledge behind how these things work, and they leverage that and create this religion so that they can gain power back in the universe, despite being like a nutrient rich or nutrient poor, and like they have no heavy metals on their planet or anything valuable, but that they have that knowledge of nuclear power and other scientific things to like gain power back in the universe, which is really interesting.
And is this something that was part of the plan that the mathematician created? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's really, really cool. I recommend it highly.
Cool. The writing is good?
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
And I'm only on the second book. I'm on like towards the end of the second book, and there are 7, and I'm going to tear through them all as quickly as possible, I think.
Jeez. You gotta stop recommending books I can not read like a Ben. I can only read like an Erin.
You should drink more water. Maybe then you could.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's the key.
It's a good place to read on the toilet. That must be what it is.
I don't read on the toilet when I pee.
That's true. You're a male person.
You're a man.
That was actually really confusing to me for a second.
You're like, wait, what?
I was like, does she think drinking water makes you poo?
I mean, it can assist in that arena.
Well, it is funny.
So
I've noticed that before. It's an interesting gender difference. People don't pay much attention to. But like when a person who is like biologically male sees a person sitting on a toilet in any scenario, they assume they're pooping. That's an immediate assumption.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. But for us, it's more common to be sitting on a toilet to pee. I want to give you a shout out for your observation, and B, an extra shout out for your just like social sensitivity with your a person.
Thank you. Sweet. I got a double shout in.
Who is born in a male body.
Thank you.
That was sensitive.
Shout in.
Shout in to Hannah right now.
Erin, what was the name of your book again? The book you wrote that you told us about?
The one I wrote is called Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast.
Okay.
Wait, both of you just said that she wrote this book.
Yeah. I was playing off what Hannah said.
That was the goof, Ben.
You said it so not like a goof that I thought you were just like, I don't know.
I gotcha.
Really got
we
me.
got him.
You really
Gotcha.
fucking got me with
You
that
burnt.
goof. I got goofed shit.
Homework.
You clowned me.
I clowned you so bad. Okay, watch home movies. It's 4 seasons long. It's very manageable. They're like 22, 25-minute episodes. I would recommend watching the whole thing straight through if you want to, but if you want a place to test out, I would recommend Definite Possible Murder as a very fun encapsulated episode. Weow. You can see the genesis of Weow.
Watch America's Funniest Home Videos. Check.
Watch home movies, and I'll list the places where you can do that and give you some links. And my Twitter is Anthropology. It's anthropology, like the study of people with an H at the beginning.
That's a new twist.
Didn't mute for that one.
And a Y at the end of it. And that's it. Erin.
What's up? Okay, my homework is to, if you're interested in baking, to get Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast and read it. I would definitely read the book through, not just skip right to the recipes, because there's some important stuff in the beginning chapters. And my Twitter is @EarnBurn. And my lesbian movie reviews are on Instagram at lesbian movie reviews.
Yes, ma'am.
Woo.
You got anything new up there this week?
I got some books.
Nice.
Maybe not this week, but
Recently.
yeah.
Nice. My homework is to read the Foundation series, start with Prelude to Foundation, and then read the rest. The next one's called Foundation, and the next one's called Second Foundation. Is that true? No, I think that's true. The third one is called Second Foundation.
All right, I'm just going to read the Foundation series in order.
Yeah.
Yes.
Figure it out yourself.
Yes. Prelude to Foundation has one of the coolest and most surprising twists at the end of a book that I've ever read.
Whoa.
So that was really exciting. And I managed to not spoil it despite kind of spoiling some things.
Great job, Ben.
Also, my twin Twantnar is Annie, just go Greg. I forgot
Again!
I've been slacking on posting pictures of Como every day, but I just posted, as I was thinking about it, like when we started recording, just one of the cutest pictures we've ever taken of him. So check that shit
Ben,
out. He's
you did
fucking
post one
adorable.
the other day that I replied with an enhancement on it.
Oh my god, yes. Please, everyone, look at that.
I'm gonna look for that.
It was good.
That's like one of my favorite. I've been posting that picture everywhere.
I should have written
chats.
enhance in the text. That's all right.
Yeah, you should have.
Next time.
You fucked up.
If you want to follow way too
If you want to.
broad on Twitter, You can find us at Too Broad Pod, TOO Broad Pod. If you want to email us about how I should really just like get my shit together and start talking in complete sentences without all these stilted pauses, you can reach us at waytoobroad@gmail.com. And also we have a Facebook group called Way Too Broad. You can go and discuss the episodes or just like things that you're excited about. And that's on Facebook. If you search Way Too Broad, it comes up. And also leave us a review if you had fun today on iTunes or wherever, but probably iTunes.
But remember that we don't make this for you.
But please remember, and please do make note of it in the 5-star review. The podcast candle is extinguished.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording, and I got to pee.
Me too.
So
I
bad.
have to pee so bad. I almost left early. Okay, ready?
Ready, Freddy.
Is this a good noise? I had to take out all of your great goofs about like narrating my blowing my nose when I muted my microphone last week.
Oh, really?
Because they were so disgusting to listen to.
I forgot about that bit.
I was like, this is literally
That's like my
worse.
favorite.
When you edit things out of the Earth Snack, you edit them from history for me. Like, I'm like, I don't remember anything. If it's not on the snack, I don't remember it.
It's a great power I have. And great responsibility.
It's like freaking beautiful of the everlasting mind, beautiful of the ever. You know that movie? You seen it?
Yep.
You know which one is that called?
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
It has Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet in it. Everlasting.
Oh, Eternal Sunshine.
Spotless Mind.
That's one. That's the one. You know that one.
That's Kylie's favorite movie.
That's
It's a great movie.
It's Kylie's favorite movie?
Yeah.
But it doesn't even have Angelina Jolie in it.
It does have Jim Carrey, though, and she loves Jim Carrey.
I love
She used
Kate
to.
Winslet.
He's kind of crazy now.
Is he?
Yeah, there's like a video of him doing a really weird red carpet interview where he like just walks around the interviewer and says some weird shit about how nothing's real. It's odd. He's
right.
weird.
Well, on that note,
Welcome
hello
to-
and welcome to Way Too Broad.